Welcome to Mountain Strong. Today we're at Bird Ridge and we're continuing to make our way up the ridge. We just kind of have come through most of the trees and got a clear shot of the valley over there and thought it looked nice and had a good opportunity to set up the tripod, and so I thought this would be a good place to shoot. Really, the problem isn't finding a place to shoot here. The problem is deciding which place to shoot, because this is just a beautiful hike. I've really enjoyed it so far. I have a little bit further to go. I've encountered some hikers, and they've said that there is some snow waiting for me ahead, and so I might not make it all the way to the top, but actually this hike, you could keep on going for a long way. The ridge extends to many summits, and so it's a place that we might be able to have a chance to look at later in the year when some of that snow melts off. I apologize, I've actually left my Bible down in my office at the church's building, and so I know it's pretty hard to believe, right? I am shooting a Bible video and I managed to forget my Bible, but thankfully to modern technology, I've got my Bible here always with me. And so Psalm 42 is our task for today. Let's go ahead and read it together. As a deer pants for flowing streams, so pants my soul for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God? My tears have been my food day and night, while they say to me all the day long, where is your God? These things I remember as I pour out my soul, how I would go with the throng and lead them in procession to the house of God, with glad shouts and songs of praise, a multitude keeping festival. Why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise Him, my salvation and my God. My soul is cast down within me. Therefore I remember you from the land of Jordan and of Hermon, from Mount Mizar. Deep calls to deep at the roar of your waterfalls. All your breakers and your waves have gone over me. By the day the Lord commands His steadfast love, and at night His song is with me, a prayer to the God of my life. I say to God, my rock, why have you forgotten me? Why do I go mourning because of the oppression of the enemy? As with a deadly wound in my bones, my adversaries taunt me, while they say to me all the day long, where is your God? Why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise Him, my salvation and my God. We've encountered yet another psalm where the psalmist is facing adversaries, people who are against him. And as you hear him speak about these adversaries, they are causing him obviously a great deal of difficulty. He speaks of his adversaries, and they are saying to him in verse 3, where is your God? That had such a profound impact on him that it echoes in verse 10. Once again, they say, where is your God? And he feels that as a deadly wound within his bones. Where is your God? The problem of this psalm isn't so much the adversaries. They're there, and they're the ones who have prompted his sorrow. But the real problem is that question, where is your God? And the following question that he asks himself, why are you cast down, O my soul? When I think about that question, why are you cast down, O my soul, I can't help but think of some questions that God asked. In Genesis chapter 3, He said to Adam, where are you? Where are you? God knew perfectly well where He was, but He was trying to get Adam to examine where he was. In Joshua chapter 7, when Joshua had suffered defeat at the hands of Ai, or rather his army had, he falls down on his face, and God said, why are you lying on your face like that? God asks questions to promote thought within those whom He asks. He did it with Job, He did it with Joshua, He did it with Adam. But I'm thankful that in faith we learn to ask questions of ourselves. And we see the psalmist here asking questions of himself. They're asking, where is your God? And he's saying, why is this having such an effect on me? And the surprising thing is that it's not actually the adversaries. The adversaries are not the reason why he is questioning where his God is and why his soul is cast down. As we look at the words of the psalm more closely, we realize that the issue is a creeping disease that ills us as we progress in the life of faith. The creeping disease is a disease I call nostalgia. Now, nostalgia can actually be a pretty good thing. When you reflect fondly upon previous times, when you have those precious memories, I know we probably shouldn't sing that song in our congregations because it's neither a song, hymn, or a spiritual song. It's simply a reflecting song. But when we have those precious memories and they linger and they fill our soul, we find ourselves oftentimes coming from those periods of memory feeling refreshed and renewed. But that's not the effect that the memories are having upon the psalmist here. Instead, we see him remembering how he would lead worshipers to go to God, and that promoting despair in him, verses 4 and 5. We see him reflecting upon how God is his salvation, and so how he tries to remember some geographical features which promote praise within him. He remembers the land of Jordan, of Hermon, Mount Mizar, but then all that he can feel upon remembering those things is water flowing over him. Deep calls to deep at the roar of your waterfalls. All your breakers and your waves have gone over me. That's not a picture of victory. That's a picture of defeat. That's a picture of despair. You picture someone caught in an undertow, and that's the same picture that I get when I read verse 7. He says in verse 8, "By day the Lord commands his steadfast love, and at night he is with me." And then in verse 9, "Why have you forgotten me?" to God. Now, what is the sequence of events there? Why is he saying that? Well, what's happened is he's remembering the past and seeing the gap between the past and the present. It causes him to feel despair. It causes him to feel as though he has been forgotten by his God. We need to understand something about nostalgia. Nostalgia is only good if you remember to turn back around and face forward. As long as you are only looking at the past and trying to compare continually the past with the present, and always with this idea that the past is better, that what happened before is better than what is happening now, as long as that happens, you're never going to be able to see the hope that God has in your future. It's hard to walk forward while you're turned backward, isn't it? And so the psalmist says when he asks that question, "Why are you cast down, O my soul?" he says, "Hope in God." That's a forward-looking thing, not a backward-looking thing. And so again, if we find ourselves unhealthily reflecting upon the past, we need to reorient ourselves and realize that, first of all, the past was probably not as good as we remembered it to be in the first place, all right? And I said first twice just so that would stick, right? So the past is probably not as good as we remember it being. It's unfair to compare the past to the present. And then two, we need to realize that the faithfulness that we imagine our God having towards us in the past is the faithfulness that he has toward us right now. And then reorient ourselves so we're looking forward to the future and able to see that our God can bring great things in our future. I pray that your future will be great. I pray you are never surrounded by enemies who say, "Where is your God?" But if they ever do, I want you to realize something. God hasn't moved. He never does. As Habakkuk said long ago, the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silent before him. May God bless you today.